Gentlemen, the COVID experience threw up a number of very strange and new changes to the sector, one of them being the relationship between the auto manufacturers and the dealership model.
I think you're referring to the move to an agency model. COVID sort of happened. I don't think it was COVID was anything that actually accelerated that shift. It was something that was going to happen anyway. The retailers take that stocking risk and the financial risk on those, and then they're retailing them out. And the control of the transaction price of the consumer under competition law is completely down to the retailer. They make the money from selling the car, both of them, and each taking a margin in it. And there's risk involved in both. The shift has been towards what's known as an agency model, where actually the retailer doesn't have any control over the transaction price. That is managed by the manufacturer solely. The dealer acts as an agent on behalf of the manufacturer. They don't take any of the risk in terms of the stock. The stock is owned completely by the manufacturer right through to the point at which a customer takes delivery of the car. The manufacturer is responsible for all the marketing activity. It much reduces the balance sheets required by the retailers and the working capital to actually stock cars, and it reduces their risk of sale, but also their reward is reduced, so that they work for smaller margins. They get a handling commission rather than a margin on the price of the car. So it's changed that model fundamentally, and there have been a number of drivers. One of which is very much in the digital space, when people have been looking at direct-to-consumer sales of cars, either directly by the manufacturer or through a retailer with their online sales channel. So that's been driven by digital transformation, online reviews. People will be able to configure cars online, price them up, get part exchanges on their existing car, and basically do the transaction completely online. One of the challenges of that is not quite knowing what the price of the car is. Always thinking that if I go to the next deal, I'm going to get another £200 off or whatever it might be, and having no clear pricing. And also having a price perhaps on the manufacturer's website for a car that is different to the price on the dealer's website for the car. Under the wholesale model, that would always be the way, because the manufacturer could only price the car at the manufacturer's recommended retail price, not at the market transaction price that the dealer could do it. So the digital transformation and a drive towards direct sales, both by the dealer and by the manufacturer, one of the enablers of that is moving to an agency model where there is a more consistent price positioning for that car. What you see online at the manufacturer's site is the same as the price you see online at the dealer's website, and also physically in the dealer when you're talking to the dealer about the price of a product. It's the same price. So that online, offline, omni-channel, whatever term you want to use, process is smoothed out enormously by having an agency model and more control over the retail price of the car. So that's one of the reasons for the change. The other critical reason is that manufacturers are always looking for ways of reducing their cost of sale. And the cost of that price of getting the car from the factory gate into a consumer's hand is quite a large chunk of the overall cost of a vehicle, and they're looking to reduce that. And they believe that moving to an agency model will reduce their overall cost of sale. They won't need to bonus the dealers as much. It's going to be more of a consumer pull market rather than a product push marketplace. And by paying the retailers a smaller handling commission rather than the larger, sort of more than double, typically seems to be the way it's settling down, margin that they would give retailers on the list price of the car is a way to reduce that cost. So, I mean, there's some of the reasons for it. We've seen a general trend towards it. Some of the specialist manufacturers have moved that way, Polestar and some new entrants. Mercedes went live from January this year across the UK. We've seen a few examples in some other markets. But certainly it seems to be a trend. It isn't a trend everywhere. Some manufacturers have very clearly said, nope, we're sticking with a wholesale model. But certainly the premium end, certainly the German manufacturers primarily, plus some of the other premium manufacturers are seeing this as an opportunity to change the relationship for a number of reasons. And you've probably got a view in terms of, certainly the digital aspect of it in terms of the needs to have more consistency.
Well, yeah, and we're seeing it from both ends. I mean, we have customers who are operating an agency model, where you can, buy your car online and have it delivered to you. And we have customers who use the more traditional model. I mean, from a digital perspective, I think consistency throughout the whole process is really important. I can imagine manufacturers would want to get closer to customers. And so the agency model, I think, facilitates that. Look, finance, I think, is becoming an increasingly important aspect of this. I mean, whilst I see manufacturers who are looking to push up market, I think the kind of regular product in the market, in my mind, is normalizing. I mean, there isn't much innovation going on, it seems to me. I mean, there is room for innovation, particularly with EVs and batteries. There isn't much innovation. There are great products in the market, and they can easily be acquired digitally, whichever model. Not sure the consumer's all that interested. I think primarily they're interested in product quality and price. I think quality is a kind of a consistent thing, isn't it? Modern cars are good quality.
And that's why you saw these huge discounts when they weren't selling 100,000. COVID and the shutdown in the supply chains meant that people go, actually, I've been told it's 9 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years for some of the cars. But you can configure it digitally, you can order it digitally, and then you wait. It gets delivered. We've shifted that bit that says it was 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks of the push to 9 months, 12 months being normal. And people have tolerated that and got used to it.
Yes.
Dealerships will be retail stores with an example of each model on the forecourt, very little in the second-hand space potentially, and you go and you metaphorically kick the tyres. It's a big purchase. People still want to tangibly feel it in a lot of cases. I don't know whether that's going to be the case in the EV, because is the EV just a four-wheeled iPhone?